So Omer, today, we're talking about this quiet but massive shift, right? That's happening in AI, and I think we've all seen AI that can, chat and can summarize and answer questions, but a different class of systems is sort of emerging and has already emerged, which is systems that don't just respond, but they actually act, right? And these systems are starting to sort of plan and decide and execute and even learn, across real business workflows. So I know you've been working, very closely with a lot of companies that are experimenting throughout this shift that's happening. But I wanted to start, I wanted to get your take, and I wanted to start from the very first principles, right? Most people still think of AI as something that just answers questions. But what is fundamentally different, and what is fundamentally changing with agentic AI? I think let's start there.
So when in 2022 ChatGPT happened, that was the first interaction of people using something uh, that has AI in it. Like I'm just talking about uh, uh, a broader. I mean, ChatGPT was in the lab. There was. I mean, we know ChatGPT from ChatGPT 3, but there was ChatGPT 2, and then there was ChatGPT 1, right?
Yeah.
So uh, we were having some. We were using some beta versions of ChatGPT 2, right? It had nothing like what ChatGPT 3 when ChatGPT 3 happened.
Mm.
So we know about AI through this ChatGPT moment. Right now, everyone is talking about ChatGPT, but really, what's happening in the world of AI? I mean, before we go to agent and all that, what's happening in the world of AI is we need to understand like how ChatGPT works. What is the Ruliology of ChatGPT? What's the simplest rule that that's all this AI chats and AI systems are following? What Ruliology is a term that Stephen Wolfram is using a lot. It's
Mm.
and it's his idea that most of the world's complexity emerged from the very simple rules. That's what's called
Mm.
Ruliology, right?
Mm. I
Right.
was about to ask you,
So
actually. I was like, that's
yeah,
kind of my
Ruliology. So it's a made up term from Stephen Wolfram.
yeah,
So he's a physicist who runs a consulting business,
of
and he's
course.
a big time inspiration. Anyways, so what is the Ruliology of AI systems, right?
Mm.
The Ruliology of AI systems is like if you keep bombarding neural network with lots of data, it
Mm.
would start making sense,
Yeah.
right? That's what I mean. ChatGPT and ChatGPT was some major uh, algorithmic changes and
Mm.
updates, but then there was a lot of data, right? At the time,
Mm.
right? You
Mm.
keep bombarding neural networks
Mm.
with data, and it would start making sense. So that's what AI is all about, right?
Mm.
And it's being developed exactly the way human brain works, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
that's the core of AI, right? So we need to understand this before we go into agents and so on. That's how AI works. I mean,
Mm.
it's exactly it's model exactly how human brain works. And if it is
Mm.
modeled the way human brain works, then human brain is very good in generalization,
Mm.
right? You don't need to write if and else. I mean, every time you see this, let's say, bottle, in your mind, you don't have this if and else statement going
Mm.
on to see if there is a blue color, there's something fluid going on, then probably it's water. You don't do that, right? It's pattern
Mm.
recognition. It's that information compression engine that you have. It
Yeah.
immediately, instantly tells you that this is a bottle.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, this is the foundation of AI, and this is a thing on top of which now we are trying to build systems, right?
Mm.
Uh, Now, the first thing is chat. Of course, when we talk about chat, it's it's not about that chat existed chatbots. I mean, I remember we used to make lots of chatbots using Dialogflow, right?
Mm.
There were lots of instances. If someone would say this, and then we would say this, then some predefined rules and rules over rules and rules and rules. The chat you are experiencing, think of ChatGPT as an agent, right? There's a lots
Yeah.
of agents.
I
This
get it.
agent doesn't have any predefined rule.
Mm.
It works on generalization,
Mm.
right? The way humans generalize things, right?
Mm.
So that's first of all, that's a difference between the chat we think chat is. I mean,
Mm.
when someone says it's a chatbot, ChatGPT is a chatbot. Sure, ChatGPT is a chatbot, but does Umar Khan is also a chatbot,
Mm.
right? Because you chat too. Your source of information connecting to
Yeah.
connecting word is chat, right?
Yeah.
No, it's not a chat. It's not a chatbot. It's a very different kind of chatbot, but you like to call okay. It's more of like an agent that
Mm.
thinks like human brain,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
So that's where I established what is AI, how this chat, what you just called that, is there anything more than chat? So I just established it's not the
Yeah.
chat you think chat. It's not dialogue flow under the hood that's powering
Mm.
chat based on rules. It's the way human brain works. That makes it
Mm.
very special. So
Yeah.
just establish first this, that how important this work is, right? I told
Yeah.
you, Ruliology, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Now the second thing is what we can do. Okay, one is like we can interact, we can interact with it, and we can have the world's information from
Mm.
this, and uh, organizing. And one of the things, there was a scientist Leibniz, I think 17th century, yes. The organization of human knowledge into one
Mm.
place has been the vision and mission for many scientists from 17th century.
Mm.
Google was the first company. I mean, what we've seen that it has done it incredibly well,
Mm.
and their experience was access towards information. Now with chat-like experiences with agents, now you have much better way to interact with the person's knowledge. So yeah, one thing is like with chat-like experiences, one is chat, but then uh, that one beyond chat, one is how can you make this chat-like experience that is valuable for to perform certain actions. So currently
Mm.
what's happening is AI is very good from middle to middle. It needs something to start. So for example, for chat, for interacting with ChatGPT, you need to give it something.
Give it a
And at
prompt.
the
Yeah.
end, you need to fine tune as well. So it's
Yeah.
very good from middle to middle. And it's not very good from the start. And it's not very good at the end.
Mm.
Now, the what we are trying to do and what you asked is like how to make sense of the agent, of this
Mm.
chat like agent, how to make sense of this, like how can we make this middle is already solved. How can we build agents at the start that can just start doing certain tasks,
Mm.
use this AI like ChatGPT or any other AI to do processing of information, arrive at some decisions, and at the end, also an agent that take that thing and make it as one complete set of action or task. That's what is called agentic AI, right?
Mm.
So
Mm.
I just help you bridge the chat-like experience using chat-like experience first to establish that it's not just chat. Don't think of it
Mm.
like chat. It's
Mm.
lot of things are going on because when you interact with a human, you don't think it's a chatbot, right?
Yeah.
You give it a complete structure.
Yeah.
You have human when you interact with human, you don't think of it like you're just another chatbot, right?
Mm.
Human brings lots of things with the same things are being powered by ChatGPT or these AI or LLMs. Now
Mm.
we are building the first mile of that
Mm.
chat and the last mile of that, and just to close the loop and make it a agentic AI experience, so we can outsource certain tasks to these agents. So that's what agentic AI is all about.
Hmm. Hmm. And I love the fact that you established AI in that lens as well. And I think what I understand from what you're saying is that essentially it's almost like with agentic AI, the system is kind of being trusted a little bit more with both initiative in terms of like the first mile and then also completion in terms of the last mile, right? So it's kind of like giving it a little bit more agency, and hence the name. But I think I want to go a little bit deeper because people hear the phrase, oh, execution of actions, and immediately they think automation. So how is this different then from, I mean, we know it is, but I want to dive a little bit deeper into that difference, right? How is this different then from automation or RPA, which is something that enterprises have been using for years? So if you could talk a little bit about that.
So when you talk about RPA, robotic process automation, I mean, again, the traditional RPA was based on rules. There were some predefined rules. You write lots of rules, and you get certain outputs, right? The same thing can be achieved with now AI systems, with agentic AI, but it would have a far more flexibility and generalizability.
Mm.
So eventually, what I say is like you can do everything what an RPA can do for you with AI, but it's
Mm.
not the other way around.
Okay, interesting.
Right. So what I think is, again, that's why we need to establish uh, what we need to establish is that that Ruliology principle
Mm.
that is being modeled based on the human brain.
Mm.
So RPA would be there. I still think RPA would have its certain need where it is already there.
Mm.
Uh, the real comparison of these systems, these digital beings, is not with RPA and something, because you want predictive uh, rule-based system anyways, right? You don't want because if you didn't want predictive rule-based systems there, then probably it should have been done by the humans at the first place, right? So
Yes, then there's
you
a
have
whole
those rule
argument
those
of,
are the
yeah.
real thing of thinking about AI is what parts of that currently humans doesn't want to do in our workplace, in factory floors, can we replace agents on that part? So, for example, someone just hit, uh, for example, moving data from one Excel to another Excel sheet, consolidating data,
Right.
continuously doing lots of boring accounting work. In terms of software, we talk about people hate bootstrapping application. They just want to focus on business logic, all those things. Where I mean, I'm aware of this stuff. What are the what are the stuff that human doesn't want to do? And when you talk about doesn't want to do, you give humans enough time for anything, they would develop flow in anything. But the question is like, what's harder for the humans to get started with, right? So because that compromises their flow state. I think wherever you find in the workplaces that the areas where human doesn't find where you find that humans doesn't like that kind of work, that's the first kill. That should be the first kill of AI. That's how I like to look at it. When you talk about automation and all and getting ROI by deploying AI, that's a great lens too. But I think currently uh, uh, our focus primarily is finding out areas where we can build co-pilots, where we can build agents where human brain probably is not finding its flow state in the workplaces. So we just that's our first line of action, and then also Code Ninja has this vision of keeping human in the loop too. So that's currently how we think about AI, and that's how I think about RPA versus this agentic AI systems. That agentic AI has to be compared with human brain, not with rule-based system.
And you talked a little bit about replacing this grunt work with agentic systems and software in general. But if we move away from this theoretical discussion that we were having before and double down a little bit on this part of what you said, like where are companies actually deploying this? Like, what are some of the spaces, the use cases, not in terms of like demos, but like real uses of this? Where are you seeing some early deployments?
So because Code Ninja is a software business, so most of the companies that we interact with and internally, most of our work is around internal tooling and workflow orchestration that makes software development easier. That's the first thing that we are seeing lots of value here. But there's some of the areas that I think which are where we're seeing other than that, other than software development and testing, some of the areas that I think where it is adding a lot of value is operations monitoring and fraud and risk investigation. These are the areas where I find that currently there's lots of value currently being tapped by deploying agentic AI systems. So, for example, if you are a supply chain business, or if you are a logistic business, or if you are so these, I mean, where you need a continuous surveillance, you can build very good video AI agents in those parts and deploy those agents, which means the camera and this micro neural network, you can pretty stack up. And that would be a digital human for you, would be continuously monitoring, and whenever something unusual happens, it spikes. So these are the areas where currently I see lots of value.